would now like to welcome our guest speaker, Professor Salome Msimama. She is Head of Global Surgery at the University of Cape Town, a World Economic Forum Young Scientist, a Next Einstein Fellow, and President of the South African Clinician Scientist Society. She is an obstetrician and gynecologist and a multi-award winning scientist. She is also one of the amazing people who form our international advisory group here at USTEM Matters. Today, she will be talking about the importance of science in solving the world's biggest problems in a talk titled Influencing Change Through Science. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome her.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure, delighted to be here, and I hope that you can all hear me clearly. My talk, as she said, is titled Influencing Change Through Science, and the full title of the talk is Influencing Change Through Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. So I'd like to first greet you all and thank you all for joining this conference from all over the world today. We're delighted to see so many of you here for this very important meeting, which I hope is going to leave many of you inspired as it has already started. And also on behalf of the International Advisory Board, I also just want to congratulate all the organizers and just to say how proud we all are of the work that you're doing and what the organization represents. So science is all about change. It's about finding new ways of doing things. And when I think about science, two examples come to mind. I like to compare the car with the aeroplane and also to compare the candle with the light bulb. These are very different and cannot replace each other. The aeroplane wasn't a modification of the car, and the light bulb was by no means the modification of a candle. These are two completely different inventions which are made for different purposes, but all somewhat similar. And the challenge that many of us face today is that we want to use science to try and modify things and to try and fix things instead of creating new things and new innovations. But no matter how hard you may try to make a candle function as a light bulb, it'll never become that. And even if you try to make a car function as an aeroplane, it will never fly because it was never designed for that. So we need to think of new innovations and think about what to do, what to create and what to do to respond to the challenges that we have today. Other comparisons I can make is the telephone and the cell phone. No matter how similar what they do is, they're very different and used for different functions. And even another one is comparing the desktop with the laptop or an iPad. Even if I try, I can't fit my desktop into my purse, and I can't pull it out in the middle of the street to start responding to emails. And so we need to see science, STEM, innovation as really about improving function, even when we look at things that are similar, come up with new innovations that will respond to the problems that we have and move away from trying to modify and adapting things for change. So I want you all to think about the needs of our generation. We need to eradicate poverty, hunger, inequality. We need to provide education, healthcare, improve life on land, life in water, life on air. Who needs to come up with these answers and solutions? It's us. We need to come up with answers. We need to bring change in our generation during our lifetime. Trying to fix things and trying to improve the way things have been done is not working. That's why we need new answers from people that are living in our times and seeing the challenges that we have and are grabbing opportunities to try and fix things. The Sustainable Development Goals remind us that our generation has huge challenges to tackle. So we cannot modify solutions that are currently there. We need to come up with new solutions, innovative solutions to try and respond to the challenges. So STEM is very close to my heart because it's about finding new ways of doing things. I'll talk a bit about my own personal journey. In my lifetime as a medical doctor, as an obstetrician and gynecologist, I encountered two new diseases. Many of you would have been part of this. And HIV was quite new in my time, especially at the time where antiretrovirals were being rolled out for the first time during my days. and the COVID-19 pandemic, which we have all been part of. So as a clinician and as a doctor, especially as a gynecologist, I have tried to try and understand these diseases and how they impact women that are pregnant, because I didn't just want to be part of treating them and following guidelines that could have been created by somebody else somewhere else, but I wanted to be at the forefront of also finding new answers to these new and rare diseases. I have researched HIV in pregnancy, and I'm now researching COVID-19 in pregnancy, hoping to understand how the babies and the pregnant women are impacted by these diseases, particularly African women and women in low and middle income countries, because research sometimes done from other parts of the world doesn't always apply to our countries and our settings and the limited resources that we have. So that's how I moved in my journey from being a clinician to becoming a clinician scientist, because as a clinician, I used information that other people had come up with to manage the patients that were in front of me. But as a clinician scientist, I'm part of I'm also making discoveries and contributing to change, and other people are using some of the information that I have come up with to manage patients in their practice. So my journey started like that, and that's how I became a clinician scientist, to then pioneering a new discipline in my country, being part of that, heading up a new division called global surgery, which was not there in the time that I studied medicine. This is a new discipline in the world, which has only been here for probably the past 10 years. And we were part of the first African universities to launch a global surgery program in Africa. And so I went from doing research to pioneering a new discipline in medicine. And so my research has not only moved from just being publications that people can read, it has moved to becoming curriculums and work feeding into a curriculum, and work that we are now teaching students teaching students. And it's also part of shaping policy, because now, if before we didn't think a lot about surgical outcomes and how how policy influences our practice in surgery, but now we're working actively on trying to get government policies that will have an impact on improving access to surgery in low and middle income countries. So research can influence change, not only by changing what we know, but by even changing what we do, what we practice, and what we teach. And so I've been delighted and privileged to be part of that journey. But I also want to encourage girls and people from developing countries in the world to be part of STEM. I remember when I was young, growing up, we were taught that one day we might be lucky enough to marry a rich man. And if we're lucky, we might marry a doctor, an engineer, somebody who would be able to look after us. And so what our elders were trying to say to us is that you might be lucky enough to marry a man in STEM, but they did not see that we could become women in STEM. And so I want to encourage all those that know that who want to become women in STEM, who want to be African women or women from low and middle income countries who want to contribute to science, that it is possible, that you can. And it's not only for certain people. We all face similar challenges, and we need people across every community in the world engaged in STEM and trying to find solutions to the challenges that we all face in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So yes, STEM is for all of us. It's not only for a privileged few. So in closing, I want to encourage all of you to do 3 things. The first thing is never stop being curious or asking questions. Think about the aeroplane. Someone had to ask themselves, how can I fly people across the world? And today, that is still one of the best interventions or inventions of our time. If we don't ask questions, things won't change. Things will remain the same. This world will advance at a slow pace. So we have to be curious. We shouldn't just accept what we know. We need to create new knowledge. Number 2, do not conform. Don't accept the things that you cannot change. Change the things that you cannot accept. Just because no one sees the problem in something, it doesn't mean that we cannot try new things. It doesn't mean that what we have is perfect. Think about the candle. Even the best and the biggest candle in the world will melt at some point. It will never become a sustainable source of light to the world. And so you constantly need to think about that and think about what can we improve? What can we do different? Somebody had to look at the candle and say, this is not going to work. We need light in a different form, shape, size, with a different function to have a sustainable solution. And that's what we need to do. We need to experiment. We need to design new things, come up with new innovations, new solutions. And lastly, become all you want to become. You are never too young to change the world. Always remember that. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can come up with a solution that will change the world. Don't let race, gender, poverty, or anything stop you. We need diversity in STEM because the world needs new leaders in STEM everywhere and in every community, scientists who are going to tackle the real challenges the world is facing today. So I want to close by encouraging all of you to learn as much as you can from an early age. Get involved with STEM. I started taking my son to science camps from the age of 6, 7. He's now 9 years old and he's learning robotics at school because science matters to me. It matters to him. He wants to be an inventor one day. So my closing statement is it's never too early to start. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was really important and and inspiring. I really enjoyed hearing about that. I really love the message that you're giving. And we do have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Great. So someone asked, what are the differences and similarities between researching HIV and COVID-19 in pregnancy?
Okay, very interesting question. I mean, because we've looked at, because I've been doing work for a while on infections during pregnancy, you know, the research questions or the way you structure your research question is very similar. We want to know about outcomes. We want to know about impact of the disease, you know, all of these things. But these are different diseases that impact, you know, the effect is very different, particularly in my space. What is very different about HIV and COVID-19 has been the fact that the transmissibility of COVID-19, whilst initially we were only worried about, you know, can the baby get COVID-19 from the mom, but the nurse, the midwife, the doctor, everyone can get COVID-19 from the mom. And so the problems that we have with COVID-19 are slightly different because it's not just about protecting mom from baby, it's about protecting everyone, including the mom herself. And so it's two totally different diseases which have got different aspects to look at.
That sounds interesting but difficult. Thank you so much. And then someone has also asked, what are you most excited about regarding the future of your research?
So I mean, you know, my research has changed my career completely. You know, beginning of my career, I was working in a labor ward. It was all about pregnant moms, babies, deliveries, cesarean sections. And now I work with everyone and cross-surgical disciplines, from neurosurgeons, cardiothoracic surgeons, biomedical engineers, you know, and I find that very exciting. So I'm in a stage where I'm developing my research career further, trying to develop new researchers and scientists, and really wanting to create a center of excellence where we can have more people doing basically what I've been doing. And I find it to be really exciting to work with scientists versus only working with my patients in a closed space.
Thank you so much. That's so interesting. I really enjoyed hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we all might be